Infoactivism means having access to technology and being able to use technology to create and disseminate information in a very democratic and participatory way.
Giving people information that helps them make informed decisions, helps them mobilize and motivate their communities, and it also means helping to raise hope in circumstances where that's the last thing that you actually feel you have.
People who haven't had access to sophisticated tools for communicating and for advancing their agenda now have pretty amazing access.
And they have these amazing tools with the internet and mobile phones to spread messages very quickly. And the entertaining messages spread even more quickly.
Has to be people-centered, has to be participatory, and has to be strategic use of different communication tools.
It's about using new spaces that have opened up because of the internet and even new media as well, even cheaper forms of digital technology, whether it's video or other platforms such as online publishing.
And it's about making use of all these new spaces to do, old-fashioned activism.
Engagement.
Mobilization.
Participatory.
Inspired.
Compartir.
Aksi.
Change.
Information is power. It can raise awareness, improve lives, uncover corruption and rights abuses, and when used effectively within a campaign, bring about equality and justice. Infoactivism is what happens when rights advocates use information as the primary asset for driving change. It is what happens when we turn information into action to address an issue. Infoactivism involves harnessing information and communication tools for positive social change. Here are 10 tactics, explained through successful campaigns from around the world, that you can use to turn your information into action. Mobilizing people around the issues that matter to them requires a strong message, clear goals, and a good plan. Video is a powerful tool that can be used to bring people together to take action.
We trained communities in making videos, and in one of the areas where we trained communities, they made a film on land rights in a very feudal part of Gujarat, and all the videos actually end with a call to action. So the call to action in this video was to stand up for their rights and ask for the land. Video is a good tool because I think a lot of communities do not have literacy and access to other forms of technology, for instance, internet. And in that sense, I think video is a very good medium to reach out to such communities because you see things happening right in front of your eyes, and it really creates a lot of impact. And as a result of this film, which was screened in around 25 villages, around 700 people took a rally out and went to the local administrative office and filed complaints that they were not being distributed land. And although the application is still under process, the fact that 700 people got together and took a rally out was a great thing, and it was one of the biggest impact that we've had.
Online platforms, such as social network websites, can be used as virtual meeting spaces for people concerned about a particular need or issue. Rebecca Saabzadeh uses Facebook in her work with lesbian, bisexual, and transgender women in Lebanon. Because Facebook is so popular in Lebanon, it allows the organizations Rebecca works for to connect with a large number of people struggling with discrimination and social pressures. But using popular social network sites like Facebook has disadvantages as well.
And when I was working with marginalized society, it was different because mainly the pressure is social, so just by being out, it's a problem. So we had to find a way to use this very, very popular tool in Lebanon without without damaging their security or their anonymity. So what we did is that we started this very lonely profile that doesn't have any friends, that just contains very basic information, the logo, the name of the organization, the country, and what we work on, which is lesbians in Lebanon or trans in Lebanon. And the whole point of this profile is not actually and specifically social networking. It's just to help these women or whoever is looking for support for lesbians in Lebanon to just get to our website. It's linked to our website. I mean, we have profiles in different places, but this is the point. The point is to always advertise for it in a very popular way and to get them to our website. Working with a very fragilized and marginalized community that I work with, we were aware that Facebook is not private at all. No matter what you try to do, it cannot be private. So if we start a group, for example, and a lot of girls join that group or whatever, it will be very clear that these girls are lesbians, most probably. So what we had to do is to find a very inventive way of not connecting anyone to us.
The Pink Chadi campaign in India also revealed pros and cons of using Facebook. Chadi means underwear in Hindi. The Pink Chadi campaign was developed as a response to women being attacked by a right-wing political group called Sri Ram Sene simply because they were seen drinking in pubs. The Pink Chadi group mobilized 16,000 people to join the campaign within just 3 days, and it peaked a few months later with over 50,000 members.
In a shocking incident of moral policing, hoodlums viciously attacked girls who were at the pub. At least 2 women.
A lot of the images of this attack were broadcast on television across the country, and a lot of women and also a lot of other people got very angry at how women were being treated by the Ram Sene. There was a lot of momentum on the online group, a lot of anger and resentment that had to be translated. One of the ways that in which it did get translated was the sending of the Pink Chaddis to Pramod Mutalik. There was a lot of media coverage as well of this act, and in response what he has said first was that he would respond by giving pink saris because he wants to cover up our perversion with something decorous like a sari. The Pink Chaddi campaign or the Pink Panties campaign has definitely been successful in my opinion because it has allowed for a space in which a conversation has happened between ordinary people and the Hindu right, which is not always possible. It is a non-violent response, and it's not about beating up people who are involved in the campaign, which is very often what happens, that there is a violent response. There were various problems with the online activism which made it difficult to translate into an offline mode, and one of them was the fact that it was on Facebook, and Facebook stops you from messaging the people in your group after you hit 5,000. So without realizing, when we crossed that mark and became 16,000 and 40,000, we realized we could not communicate with anybody who was in the group anymore. And all they could be done was discussion boards and messages on the wall, which were not effective enough to communicate to everyone.
Later, the Pink Chadi campaigners learned that using Facebook had other disadvantages as well. The group's online presence was hacked into, defaced, and later deleted, while offensive messages were sent to the group's creators. Despite numerous requests on Facebook to re-establish the group, months later, no action had been taken. These examples highlight the need to be alert to both the opportunities and risks involved in using online platforms for activism. As media recording devices have become smaller and cheaper, people have started to record rights abuses as they happen. Supporting witnesses to record rights abuses and providing spaces where they can be broadcast is a useful tactic that can be used to highlight rights abuses and have them addressed.
For me, the power of video lies in its ability to convey the visual evidence and the real first-hand experience of what it's like to experience, for example, a human rights abuse. And the exciting thing now is people have cell phones which they can use to capture the first-person reality that they experience. And so it's no longer just a select few who get to tell the stories. Everyone has the potential to be a witness.
Witness, record, broadcast, and expose. This was the tactic used by the Turquoise Sniper, an anonymous video activist in Morocco who filmed police officers taking bribes from motorists.
So what he done, he filmed those police in different places in different days of the week doing the same. It's filming about 10 or 15 police agents doing the same abuses in the street of those villages. He put that on YouTube. He published the first, the second, and the third videos. The videos were seen about hundreds of thousands of users. They pushed the government to arrest those agents, and they pushed the government actually to use the same technique and hide cameras in the street and control police agents by using the same technique that was used by the target sniper.
In a different context, in Burma, citizen documentation of state abuses does not appear to have changed the behavior of its military regime. However, bloggers have recorded and broadcast what they have witnessed, putting a global spotlight on Burma, and this has raised awareness about the human rights abuses that are taking place.
Now, in Burma, everything is restricted, especially, internet, email, and online stuff. But a lot of people in Burma are using blogs. So they are posting out their stories, images, whatever they can get. And then, people around the world can see what is actually happening in Burma.
Blogs and cheap digital recording devices were seen as integral to the so-called Saffron Revolution that took place in Burma. As the Burmese protests about economic hardship and military brutality grew in size and frequency, reports of military violence also increased. Images of protesting nuns and monks wearing saffron-colored robes were broadcast on the internet and were then picked up by mainstream media across the globe, leading the military regime to temporarily cut all internet and most cell phone services during the peak of activities. Despite this, as Ong explains, the deployment of simple cheap cameras was critical for recording what happened, while blogs were an invaluable tool for getting news and images distributed to the outside world.
And what happened was they see this, such thing happening in front of their eyes, and they just took a camera and they just shot it. And then just all the photos or all the audios or all the videos that they've got, just post them out on blog. And then it automatically become, a very good success.
But under repressive regimes, successful online info-activism does not always easily translate into offline impacts. In Burma, many bloggers are now paying a high price for their online activism during the Saffron Revolution. Many have been jailed, with sentences sometimes stretching beyond 50 years. This shows why the consequences of online activities need to be thought through carefully in advance by those involved in uncovering and broadcasting rights abuses.
Victims and survivors of human rights abuses are already vulnerable. So it's really important when we film them to make sure that we don't doubly victimize them. For us, that means making sure that people understand the worst case scenario for who will see the footage. In a digital era, you can't assume that once a piece of footage is out there, it won't be copied, placed on YouTube and seen by the perpetrator or the person who is responsible for whatever happened. So we think you should explain the worst case scenario and help people make their own judgment about whether they want to speak out, whether they want to be seen, and then take measures to protect them. So, disguising their identity, disguising their voice, taking those steps. I think one of the biggest challenges now for info activism is how we encourage thousands of people who are now participating in movements for human rights using video to think about how they understand the importance of consent, how they understand these issues, so they don't doubly re-victimize people who've experienced human rights abuses.
Mobile recording devices, blogs, videos, and online broadcasting channels are just some of the ways that info activists can record and expose rights abuses and support actions that will address them. But as these examples have highlighted, it is essential to carefully consider people's need for anonymity to protect those who may be vulnerable to further abuses.